Hey all, Career Coach Andy here. Hope you're doing great. Happy Thursday. Welcome to Live Office Hours, where we help you build a career you love. Actually, let me switch something right here. Just make sure I'm off the Wi-Fi. Great to have you. Jump in, say hi. Let me know where you're watching from. If you're in any of my programs, always use one of your hashtags, like if you're a boot camper or a leader. We got great stuff coming for you over the next couple of weeks. I'll give you a couple of announcements here in a few minutes. We're on for an hour today. I am going to take a lot of your questions, but there's two things I want to do right out of the gate while Kara, say hey to Kara. She's got the blue wrench. Most of you know her from around the Mile Walk Academy. She's going to collect your questions, put some question marks in front of them so she can easily find them. While she's collecting them, I want to talk for, 5 or 10 minutes on a couple of things. I have, like I do every day, I check my LinkedIn and I check different social sites. And on LinkedIn, it's a bit interesting because I'm basically thrown everything, everything comes at me just like it comes at you. And on Monday, I noticed there was a career coach telling you this is the worst job market in 20 years, which is totally and utterly false. I saw another one saying, this is the worst round. These are the worst rounds of mass layoffs ever. You should be totally frightened and come and listen to me, or things of this nature. The Chicken Little sky is falling kind of stuff. And I am not saying that everything is rosy for everyone. I'm going to tell you a few things just to offer you some perspective because, as I mention all the time, no matter what's happening in any market, stock market, employment market, any kind of market, things will zig, things will zag, some will go up, some will go down, a lot will remain steady or flat-ish. And every month, I don't read a lot of headlines. Meaning I don't pay a lot of attention to the headlines, but I know a lot of people do, and they make judgments and determine their directions based on anecdotal nonsense that is nothing more than clickbait or somebody trying to sell you something. And so every month, I look through the 39-page report from the Bureau of Labor Statistics and other places where I actually look at the charts, I look at the graphs, I look at the trends, I look at the breakdowns. And, wouldn't you know, I did that recently. And I want to offer you some perspective on the market. And my intention in offering this to you is to put your nerves at ease, okay? It is not to tell you that everything is absolutely rosy, but it's also to explain to you why this market is exactly average. I couldn't think of a better word other than normal. Now, it may not seem like normal to you, and knowing the audience that's listening to me today, right now, or on a recording, I know a lot of you are job searching. And job searching in any market is awful. It's painful, it's confusing, it's lonely, it stinks. And I know that there are certain areas and industries that are not doing well. But let me offer you some more what I would call harder evidence, not headlines. Cool? Now, one of the things that I do is I look for macro level and micro level trends so that I can help people, guide people. When people ask my opinion about direction or pursuits and things like that, I want to be knowledgeable. So I make sure that I study up on this stuff. And when I say that this market is average, what I mean, it may not be, your situation may be great or it may be poor. But in general, at a macro level, it is not quite the melee that the media or many other career coaches would make you think that it is. And what makes me say that? Well, when you look at the number of job openings that are out there publicized, those job openings it's roughly about 7.7 million, which in Andy math means there's 38.5 million jobs, because the publicized jobs are only 20% of all job openings. So you got nearly 40 million open jobs. I'm not kidding. That's a pretty good number. And you've got about 7.1 million unemployed people. And the unemployed people is determined based on survey data called the household data or the establishment data They're both pretty good surveys that gather insight. And of the 7.1 million people that are unemployed looking for a job, 1.5 of them, so 20% of those people, have been unemployed for a very long time, meaning over 27 weeks. They're included in the data. And there are some individuals who are not included in the data who might have been unemployed for some portions of the last 12 months, but if they have not sought employment in the last 4 weeks, based on the data, the surveyed data, they wouldn't show. So let's just say it's even a bigger number than that, but it's not that much bigger. Go with me on this. That's pretty imbalanced. Now, the unemployment rate is 4.1%. In the last 12 months, the unemployment rate has been between 4.0 and 4.2. Those are relatively historical lows on the lower end of all data gathered of all time. There were, let's see, what other numbers might be important. The labor participation rate, 62.4%, is historically average. The number of people that were hired last month, 5.4 million. The number of people that were separated, 5.3 million. The number of people that quit their job last month, 3.3 million. The number of people that were actually quit, or I should say quit, was 3.3 million. The number of people that were laid off was 1.6 million. Does that sound like a lot? Does 1.6 million people being let go sound like a lot? Go ahead, go in the chat. Tell me if you think that's a lot. Sounds like a big number to me. But let's put that number in perspective. And before I do, since I was running late and my tea hasn't steeped, here we go. But 1.6 million sound like a lot? Would it surprise you to know that for all time, every month, the average number of people that are laid off falls between 1.9 and 2 million people per month? But you might never hear of that. That happened in 2005, 6, 7. Right? So you think it's a big number. Why do you think it's a big number? It's actually 300 or 400,000 a month less than a historical average. But why does it feel like a big number? It is normal. It's lower than normal. Do you know what the lowest recorded number of layoffs was in a given month at any moment in time? 1.287 million, June 2021 is the lowest ever. So we're right in the middle of the lowest ever and historical average. So I want you to understand that I just want you to know this, that I only say this to you to help give you some perspective that it's not the end of the world. Also, I jotted these down too. If you are in healthcare, financial services, transportation, warehousing, social assistance, your numbers are going up. Night before last, I met with a guy who was going into his final interviews the next day, yesterday, for a very, very top dog position in transportation. Hundreds of thousands of dollars this guy will earn. And I'm seeing it. If you are in the federal government, well, we know those numbers are going down. We know that federal funding is also affecting employment sporadically. But we also know that if you're in retail or business or professional services or a number of these other ones, oil and gas, construction, you're flat. You're flat. So, and when you're flat, what happens is, what did I just get done saying? 5.4 million people got hired, 5.3 million people got let go or quit. Pretty imbalanced, pretty average, right? So I'm telling you this just so when you're swiping on LinkedIn and you're seeing and hearing the sky is falling, that's nonsense. Now, some of you are going to say, well, Andy, I'm in tech and tech is in the toilet. Well, I got some data on that too. Well, when you look at the labor statistics breakdown, and they have the household data, they have the establishment data, and the household data will break it down by demographic too. It'll break it down by industry and so on. And they don't actually have a classification for technology. They don't lump technologists that way. There are technologists that work for financial services firms. There are technologists that work for healthcare firms. There are technologists that work for software companies. There are technologists that work for professional services companies and so on. So it's kind of scattered. So tech data has to be extrapolated from other surveys that are run by other people to write articles like the Wall Street Journal that published that 5.7% of the tech labor force is unemployed. So I wanted to look to see, well, how those were classified, what actually is considered tech. And much of those tech positions were lowest level programming, reporting, admin, clerical, very much the lower end of the tech spectrum. And I'm not saying that can't hurt executives, because units can get knocked out. But the point is that tech is going through a shift, and tech has gone through several shifts in my entire life. I mean, there were punch cards, then there was programming for me, and you were doing that on a system that was contained, captive, or intranetted, so to speak. And then there was client server, then there was internet and cloud computing and so on. And as we go through these waves and transitions, yeah, there's some pain and people need to retool. And other advancements in technology enable us to re-engineer processes or omit them entirely. And we're going through some of that right now. And that has ripple effects. I'm not saying that I don't feel for you if you're in technology, but in tech, and the reason this is such a big deal is because typically technology is insulated from these market gyrations, primarily because the world runs on technology. And historically, we don't see a lot of technologists unemployed. So this becomes great news. It enables the media to scare you. And I'm telling you that my calendar is filled. I can't get enough people scheduled who have interviews and need their help with salary negotiations. The jobs are out there if you're doing the right things and you're searching the right way. Yeah, it might be tougher, right? The leisure and hospitality people right now, it's actually flat. But remember in COVID, right? That was really rough. Well, tech's got its time now, but it tends to be skewed. You can't just look at a headline and say, well, 5.7% of people are unemployed, because that's not entirely true. And not all technologists are created equal. So if you really look under the hood, or you want to read the 39 pages, or you want to read all the other charts and graphs and other things that I look at, be my guest. But I'm here to tell you, don't bother, and trust that if you work the process, I'm telling you there are jobs out there to be had. Okay? So this is my little pep talk to say it's not as bad as the media is making it sound. It's not as bad. The sky isn't falling. And yes, some people are taking bumps and bruises, but then again, this is life. It's not fair, and that's going to happen. What you do with it is going to have a big time effect on your results, meaning how you handle it, how you process it. And I know I'm totally going to butcher this, but this is one of the things I always think about from Marcus Aurelius, one of the 5 Caesars. And I know I'm not going to get his quote exactly right, but the impediment that's put in front of you is what incites the action you take, meaning you need the impediment to act. And the impediment is the way, it's the route, it's the path that you're going to go through. And so if you're searching for a job right now, I want you to take it on as a challenge, but I want you to gain the benefits of the experience of you going through it. Why is this happening? What is happening? Can you take advantage of learning new skills? Can you meet new people? Do you have a fresher perspective? And are you going to be more grateful for the jobs that you have, or the money that you earn, or the people that you work with? Just think about that. So anyway, from time to time, I like to give you updates on my interpretation of the employment market. And anybody that wants to have a conversation, you better come armed with some stats. Not that, the world doesn't like old people, or the world doesn't like young people, or, they don't like the color of my skin, or I can't believe I wasted 4 years on this degree. None of that. You are where you are. The world doesn't care about your past. What you do with your present is what will make you all the time. Cool. All right, that's my thoughts on that. The other thing I want to mention is I've got a lot of great stuff to help you. A lot of free stuff coming up. So I want to give you a quick run over of the schedule for the upcoming month. If you have not signed up for Dear Coach Andy's 9th rendition of the Interview Intervention Mini Camp, the free version, this is next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And if you are registered like you should be, where you go into the very color, I guess it's like an Italian colored bullhorn that Kara put up there. Maybe that was for me. Register free for the Interview Intervention Minicamp on Monday night, March 31st. We will send you the follow-along workbook. If you've attended Interview Intervention Minicamps in the past, that's great. This one's different. I'm teaching it different. We've got more role-playing. It's going to be a ton of fun. So I hope you join. And even if you're in my job search coaching program, you're a premium member, you have a lot of this material in the Interview Intervention full training program. But it's always nice to hear it said a little differently, or maybe said a second or third time. And like I said, there's going to be some role playing. It's going to be a ton of fun. And if you are in my job search coaching program, remember next week, use your boot camper hashtag, because we're going to give you priority on the Q&A. And in addition, if you're a member of my job search coaching program, there's 3 additional coaching sessions in the week following the Interview Intervention Minicamp on the 8th, the 10th, and the 17th. For those of you that know that the 10th and the 17th are Thursdays, which is my live office hour day, typically I will be off those 2 days with members of my job search coaching program. If you're interested in the program, you can check that out. It's $300 off the top 2 packages right now, so it's a pretty good deal, and it will be through April 8th. The other thing that we're doing a little later in the month is on Wednesday. It's Wednesday, the 23rd of April. We're going to be doing a limited edition productivity challenge on my YouTube channel. I'm going to help you understand how to get your work life organized, the master lists, the quarterly lists, the month-long lists, the weekly lists, how you get these lists in order, what goes on the list, and how to drive your work. And then what we're going to do is the following 2 days, we're in a Zoom room with members of my leadership coaching program. A very, very sweet deal where I'm going to be talking about planning your week and running your day. That's going to be Thursday and Friday. That's for members only. So the free stuff is noted in free with the free in yellow. Those will be on YouTube, and the other stuff is paid. The 8th, the 10th, and the 17th are for members of the Job Search Coaching Program, and the 24th and the 25th are for members of the Leadership Coaching Program. So if you're interested, check that out, or if you're not sure how to get that into that, email us at support@milewalk.com, and Kara will let you know. I guess the last thing I will tell you is that I'm still shipping the Interview Intervention book. For a limited time longer, it's going to be $7 US. I'll send this $29 book anywhere in the world. You chip in basically for the envelope and the service fees. That's what it covers. I'll pay the shipping too. For $7, I'll give you the ebook, which sells on Amazon for $9. And I'll give you the audiobook, which doesn't sell anywhere but with me. There's some other bonuses too. So this is a great budget-friendly book to get your interviewing skills in order. I also have the Zebra Code, which is, you can get this. It's a career development book, a leadership development book. I'll send you 2 copies anywhere in the world for the price of 1 if you're interested in that BOGO deal, or you can get the ebook, audiobook, or a single hardcover on any e-tailer in the world. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, Thrift Books, you name it. Ingram, and anywhere else that sells books. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so let's see. Lisa Frazier. I understand it's only been 2 months, but there has to be a better way to apply and get interviews. What I'm doing is not working, even with the tips, with all the tips. Thanks. Okay. So Lisa, the first thing I would say to you is you put the word apply in there. And it is my belief that applying for jobs is one of the absolute worst ways to actually attain an interview or a job. for that matter. So I recommend boss hunting. I don't know if you have been boss hunting, but I would highly recommend that route. And if you are not sure what I mean by boss hunting, I would check my channel. There are boss hunting videos, techniques where I outline what boss hunting is. There are also boss hunting templates templates, S plural, that I give you for free if you download them from any one of those videos, or maybe Kara can drop the link in the chat. And then the other thing is, I would recommend that you check out my job search challenge playlist on YouTube, because that will also help you mechanically understand the pace, the frequency, the cadence that you should have, and what you should do when you're sending out those boss hunting messages. But there's no question. I am most of the people that I am coaching each week, the 10 or a dozen people that I'm coaching each week, they're getting interviews. So, and they're in a whole variety of industries. So, and the techniques that they're using predominantly is boss hunting. Yes, some of them get opportunities through the applicant trashing system, but most of them are getting them through boss hunting techniques. So that's what I would lean on there. Patty, recently I've been asked in 2 interviews, how do you keep yourself organized? Can you advise how to respond to this question? Well, the one thing I would say to you, Patty, is you definitely need to show up on April 23rd, because that's the beginning of how you keep yourself organized. In which lists do you manufacture? The other question that I'll answer during that session is, how do you come up with the material that goes onto the lists? And then the next 2 days, you planning the week and you running the day. That's all organization. And one other thing that you might want to do in this book, Patty, in the Zebra Code, pages 69 to 99 is the chapter on planning and running your day, which has all the information that I just referenced in literary form. That's all nicely packaged for you. But there is a concept in which you want to be able to articulate in the interview itself. And every interview response that I give to any question, no matter what it is, will have some step-by-step process about how I go about organizing. So I'm looking at my projects. I'm understanding which projects move the needle, meaning which ones are going to give me the greatest ROI, which ones are the highest priority, in balance with deadlines. And then I'm going to sequence my work based on the activities that drive the projects, that advance them forward. And then each day, I'm organizing the workload based on the projects I need to move along, the high priority projects. And then throughout each day, I'm working the activities according to a schedule, not a to-do list. Meaning, what gets scheduled gets done, and when it gets scheduled to be acted upon, the deliverable that you're going to create needs to be associated with the time slot that you are identifying. As an example, what do I mean? So when you work through that high level down to a low level sequence, at any 1 minute in the day, the way I am organized is based on my schedule. That schedule is organized based on my priorities. The priorities are organized based on my responsibilities, what generates revenue, what saves money, right? What services a customer, and so on. Whatever my duties are, right? Because everybody's a little different. When I get to a slot, for the 11 o'clock to 12 o'clock slot, it says, give them a great show, right? Here's the topic, here's the subject matter, and so on. At 1 o'clock to 1:05, literally on my calendar, there's a little buffer in case the show runs a little long, but essentially speaking, between 1 and 1:05, there's a to-do. The to-do says, take the dogs out, stretch a little, get ready for your coaching session at 1:15 or 1:30 or whenever that is. And so what's happening is, as I get into the slot, I'm making sure that the deliverable is known to me. So 1:30 to 2:30, I'm coaching somebody. When that's done, I have to pack something up, get it to Kara. At 2:45 to 3:45, I might be writing content for next week. As a matter of fact, that's actually true. I'm writing content for next week for the mini camp, and there's a section of the mini camp of the delivery of the presentation that needs to be done between 2:45 and 3:45. At 3:45, I'm going to be done with that segment, and I know exactly what the deliverable needs to be. It's a set portion of one of the presentations. It's the last piece of the puzzle. I know that when I'm done at 3:45, the entire presentation is going to be done. So what I'm doing is I'm associating my deliverable with the clock. That's why it gets done. When you associate your entire day with a list of things, that's why a lot of the things that are on your list don't get done, because you let yourself get distracted. There's no repercussions. There's no association to time. If you love this, like if you love these concepts, April 23rd, 24th, and 25th I'm going to go way deep on a lot of this stuff. But I'm giving them some kind of formula like that says, I go from here to here to here to here to here. This is how I know at any moment in time. Then, of course, there's exceptions. What happens if I get interrupted? What do? Well, I have an answer for that, and I have an answer for that, and so on and so forth. So anyway, I hope that gets you going in the right direction. Samit, what would be a good messaging template to talk to 3 people a day like you have suggested in the previous videos? Check the boss hunting templates. I think that's what you're asking. When you say good messaging template, I'm going to assume that's what you mean and not the talking part, because the talking part is going to be highly dependent on who you're targeting, what you're targeting them for, what kind of discussion you're having. Grab the boss hunting templates. I think that's what you're looking for. Book nerd. I'm changing careers from retail management to PR and event planning. Graduating this fall and need advice regarding resume and job search, please. Well, if you are graduating in the fall, the only thing I would say to you is get the collegiate template. You can put whatever previous and prior experience that you have in the professional experience section of your resume or work experience or whatever you want to call it. But if you are getting a degree that is sending you into a new direction, make sure that degree is up top. And then you're going to be entering into to PR and event planning at the junior or analyst or whatever level it is the opening entry level. And I would use the collegiate template that I have. And as a matter of fact, since we're on the subject of boss hunting, the one thing I would recommend for you is one of the most recent boss hunting videos that I did sometime last year, was literally dialed up for an emerging professional that was either switching careers or graduating from college or something like that was going out and trying to get their first job. Even if you have prior work experience, if you're using the education as a rerouter, then you want to lean on that as one of your credentials, right? That's going to be part of your messaging. I have experience in this, blah, 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 but I went to school for this because I would like to start my career in this field. So anyway, check that out. Those will be really good assets for you. Mark M, Mark M, I took all of Andy's advice and landed a high-paying full-time job in tech starting Monday. Thank you number 1, congratulations to you, MM. And number 2, thank you for validating what I was saying there earlier in the opener. I love that. Give him a huge, huge live office hours high 10. I love it. Vivian, Andy, what is your data telling you about manufacturing and semiconductor markets? What manufacturing industries are ramping up? It's manufacturing general. So any manufacturing of any kind of widget. Now, obviously, there's going to be variations, but it's all lumped together. And manufacturing was flat, which basically means there's jobs to be had. And remember this, folks, and Vivian and everybody. I want you to just another perspective viewpoint. When I am coaching somebody to job search and to surface more opportunities, I want them to be boss hunting into organizations, even if they don't know a position exists. Okay? There's no publicized job. Let's say their career site is empty. Okay? I want you to still target the boss because you know what that boss does. You know what you do. You have skills that you can offer them in semiconductor manufacturing or engineering or whatever it might be. You target that boss. If that boss works for 1,000-person company and they have a modest 10% turnover every year, which is not out of the realm of possibility and may even be low, they have 100 open positions that they need to refill. Now I want you to add a 0 on the end of that. 10,000, 1,000, 100,000, 10,000. That means no growth. That means flat. That means to keep the lights on. Somebody leaves, I got to replace them. Or I like Vivian. Her resume is awesome. I got 10 people on my team. I know 2 of them can go, right? I'd trade one of them out to talk to Vivian if she's got the goods. So that's what I would tell you about that. Yash, how do we best prepare for a technical assessment when jobs often ask to prove your competency? So if you're asking me how would I prepare for a technical assessment, my answer is I wouldn't prepare for a technical assessment, because a technical assessment is trying to ascertain from you how much specific domain knowledge you have. If you have the goods, you have the goods. So when I get into the assessment, whether that's a verbal inquiry asking me questions, I'm just responding to whatever they're asking, and I'm always showing my logic or my work or how I would figure it out or how I would do something, because in addition to do you know it, it's also how do you think it through. If it's a test where they're actually asking you to code something or whiteboard something, you just draw it. I wouldn't spend any time preparing for anything like that. I'd be more concerned about explaining to them what they need to know. And if they're evaluating my technical expertise, they need to know what I know and how I think. And that's it. Let's see. This is a good one. Maria, how can you identify what an employer's goals and problems are to prepare and tailor your power stories based on a job description prior to an interview? Okay, so the first thing is, I always want you to start with thinking. No, I'm not being funny. Like, before you go to Google, before you go to AI, before you go to a job description, before you do anything, I'm going to make an assumption that you know what you're doing. Okay, so if I'm a marketer, I know that wherever I am on the marketing team, my goal is to increase the brand, elevate the brand. What could that look like? It could look like more clicks on the website. It could look like more followers on social. It could look like more Google searches. It could look anything, right? Where you're popping up. And that's just an example. I want to be able to generate more leads. What would that look like? Well, it could look like more followers, but it would look like more opt-ins. It could look like more inquiries on the website. It could look like more phone calls coming in, or whatever it might be. I want to do it for the cheapest possible amount because I want more leads, but I don't want to have to pay a lot of money to get them. And then once I get them, I want a super high conversion rate. Well, if I'm an engineer building a product, I want to build a product that is what? That it makes the customers happy, right? That is easy to use, that's stable, right? That's reliable. I want to do it as fast as possible. I want to do it for as cheap as possible, right? I could rip off the top 5 goals of any position off the top of my head. If I can do that, you ought to be able to do that for your specific job that you do every day of your life. Okay, so that's start there. Second thing is, you can look at, if you are job searching and you do not have an interview yet, you could look at sample job descriptions. What are the job descriptions asking for? So in the job description, they will not come out and say, our goal is, your goal is. They will say, you are responsible for creating the strategy and the roadmap. You are responsible for running projects. You are responsible for recruitment, retention, team management, internal customer support. It'll give you all the stuff that they want you to do. In those cases, those are going to be prompters that you are going to have a goal related to. Now, creating a strategy and a roadmap is not a goal. That's not a goal. It's a deliverable that you use to what? Achieve the goals. What department are you in? If you are in the network engineering group and you are on the security team, your goal is to make sure that no threats enter, the system never goes down, and so on. Now, somebody's going to develop what your network strategy is. Maybe that's you, but that's not a goal. The goal is way down the road. So what you're doing is you're looking for your power story in relation to what the end goal is. So I was coaching a guy the other Monday. on Monday. I don't know if he's here. Shout out to if he's here. He's going in to interview with Apple. It's the final interview for him. He's a technical project manager, and he is working on a customer insights team that's going to be gathering data on usage of wearables, of which I no longer wear my Apple Watch because the Apple Watch stinks compared to this Garmin 955 Forerunner, because I was one of those people he's trying to get data on so he could give data to the executives so they can make sure I'm not wearing this and I'm wearing their watch, okay? So when I said to him, well, you're looking at your goals, and he said, well, my goal is to increase customer service. So no, that's not your goal. Your goal is to come up with data. That data is then going to be used by somebody else in the business unit line that looks at the watch, that looks at the HomePod, that looks at the whatever, and then analyzes how they're using it, what they like, what they don't like, what the demographic is, so they can make marketing decisions, product feature decisions, and so on. Your goals are way over here. You're a stepping stone along the way. Your output is used. So your end deliverable might be the data, but your ultimate goal is to raise the revenue through better decision making, lower the attrition rate through better decision making. That's what your data is used for. So when you tell a power story, what you want to do is you want to drive through the deliverable and into the goal. So I'm coaching him on how to do that, right? That's Monday. So for you, you're looking at, well, what is the strategy going to do? We need you to come in and create the PMO strategy. That's not a goal. That's a thing that you're going to use to drive the projects that you're going to run to ultimately run the projects that are going to do something. So your goal in orchestrating the PMO, for example, and not managing the specific projects is to what? Put a unified methodology together that streamlines and accelerates the governance, the process, keeps the costs low, the time fast, and you're working and sequencing your projects so that the ROI is being paid back first because you're super smart, because you're sequencing the projects and so on. So you've got to look at where is the ultimate goal of what I do. And then but what a lot of people do is they say, well, this is how I create a PMO. You and everybody else can do that, right? I could go out on my front street and hit a neighbor that could do that. Right? So you've got to be talking about how you actually made that transformation so that when you hire me, these are the results you're going to get. So Maria, now you asked me, how do you come up with that? Well, you think about it, you look at the JD. Then I also, if you come next week, I'm going to give you some AI prompts to do this as well. And so you can ask AI, what are the top goals of? What are the biggest challenges that the employer will encounter when? And those kind of things. So that those are a few 3 or 4 steps that you can go through. And I'm going to be walking you through a lot of this next week as well, even in part of interview, because this is how I want you to prepare for the interview. This is day 2. Mark M., you got some more stats for me? Okay, you're right on. Hang on. I got to show this to you because I want to show this to you for inspirational purposes, because when you, let me see if I can get right. No, I can't. Dang, where are you, Mark? Mark M. Here we go. All right, look at this. So I tell my boot campers that for every boss hunting message you send, you should get about 1 in 5 to 1 in 10, so let's call it 1 in 7.5 interviews. These are his stats. 30 messages, 12 responses. That's pretty good. 5 recruiter interviews, 3 senior management multi-round interviews. Let's just take the 5 over 30. That's 1 for 6. So he did it right after negotiating a higher salary with Andy's techniques. This is awesome. So this is actually pretty average, which is pretty awesome. Right? So if you're not getting interviews, believe me, I'm telling you that there are opportunities that are out there. The sky is not falling. Much of the time, it's your targeting, it's your consistency, it's the number of at-bats that you have, meaning not the number of opportunities you're given, the number of opportunities you take to send those messages out each day. And being disciplined in doing that. And boss hunting needs to not be a challenge, meaning I give you a challenge and the challenge is designed to help you generate discipline and consistency. Discipline is about, what is discipline? Right? You might look at me and say, well, Andy, you're a super disciplined person. Well, I'm not. I only need to be this much disciplined, because once you're this much disciplined and you get going, you will build a habit that becomes automatic for you. You need a lot of discipline in the beginning, but you don't need it for a very long period of time. If you can get a cadence down where you can get 3 messages out a day, day in and day out, it will become a habit to you and it will become normal and it will become much easier to do. And in my book, 30 messages takes 2 weeks to send. If you do 3 a day, 5 days a week, that's 15 a week. So if you're not getting responses, you got to check to see, are you targeting the right people? Are you targeting the right companies? Are you sending messages that are warm, welcoming, and enticing? Are you staying in alignment with the 7 principles that I share about what needs to go into your messages? Do you have a resume that actually aligns to what the boss needs? If you're a marketer and you're targeting salespeople, you're not going to get a response because you don't have the skills that they need, and so on. So believe me, the opportunities are out there. The sky is not falling. It might take a little elbow grease. Oh, I love this one. Rebecca Pollard. Rebecca's asking, for boss hunting, if there is an open role adjacent to what I'm looking for, should I acknowledge that in the email, or can I still use the boss hunting with no job posted format? Yes, and I'm going to give you a couple here. So for those of you that have the boss hunting templates, now don't get confused. There's the boss hunting templates, of which I give you 2 free ones, and there's a boss hunting Bible. The boss hunting Bible has these 2. It has a whole bunch of other templates in it because it gives you all instructions about how to work the boss hunting process, subject line, emails, all the stuff you need, everything that the boss is going to come back with or not, what to do when they say, hey, I don't have any open positions, but I'll keep you in mind. No, I'm not recruiting for that position. That person is. Hey, put it in the applicant trashing system. There's like 8 or 9 responses that they usually come back with. I've written those all out for you, and I've given you templates and responses to do that. So the Mark M's of the world, they have access to the Bible. So if there is an open role, and you know there is an open role that you really like, there is a boss hunting template that says, I'm reaching out, I noticed blah, blah, blah. I assumed you were a manager. It goes like yayo. Okay. Now, if you see 2 positions, adjacent could be, analyst, senior analyst. It could be a product engineer, pre-sales engineer, something like that. If you see that, you could do one of 2 things. You can use a no job opening where you're really just targeting the boss and then letting the boss sort it out, and that's okay. Or you can say, I noticed there were a couple of openings, boom and boom, and you could say that. That's okay too. Either way is okay with me. But I just want to make sure that you're stressing that you want to join the team and you want to add value where they need it the most, or wherever you can provide the most value. And you're open to talking to them about either of these 2 or any other positions they feel you could add value or you would be a great fit. So that's what I would do. That's what I would do there. That's a really good question, because that happens a lot. Joe Pang, the bosses I targeted, Joe Pang, the bosses I targeted kept asking me to go to their job posting site. I made sure I targeted companies and functions that match my skills. Perhaps I'm doing something wrong. No, you're doing something right. Remember this. What's goal number 1 when you send a message? Get a response. Get a response. You got a response. We count that as a plus, not a minus. Because no response, you can't do anything with. But what a lot of people do is, I don't get any response, they send 14 follow-ups. If they say, oh, Joe, thank you for reaching out to me, or Joe, we would prefer it if, I don't care how they respond, please put it in the applicant trashing system. You are then going to say to yourself, Coach Andy said I should ask myself, what can I do with this right now? Okay, so you're going to go and you're going to put it in the applicant trashing system. Go fill it in. Then you get back to them and you say, thank you so much, Mr. Boss Man or Miss Boss Lady. for getting back to me. I really appreciate it. I did, as you asked, and put it in the applicant trashing system, which is what my coach calls it. I was wondering if you would be open to sharing with me the name of the recruiter who is recruiting for this position so that I could follow up with him or her or them or whatever it is. You want to keep the chain going. Then what's the worst thing that can happen? They don't say anything? Fine. Then what do you do next? What can I do with this right now? Well, go at the recruiter. You go to the recruiter and you say, hey, I thought you might be the recruiter recruiting for this position. I had reached into so-and-so and they'd asked me to put my resume in the applicant trashing system. I just wanted to follow up to see if you or anybody had an opportunity to review. Like, don't keep going, right? That's all you need to do. And then you're going to attach your resume, attach a cover letter to the recruiter, which is really going to be your email. And you just keep going. And that's awesome. And I'm glad you're getting a response. So when I send 10 messages out, you're going to get some no thank you, flat out. You're still going to go back to them with a whole nother set of questions. Or put it in the applicant trashing system. Or let me share this with Susie down the hall. It's her team or whatever. That's why the Boss Hunting Bible is effective. I give that to people in the job search coaching program. But Joe, you're doing great. I mean, you're getting responses, and that's the first order of business. Kara, how are we doing on the questions? While she's giving me some more questions, I'm going to give you the schedule again. Remember, next week, if you have not signed up, please register so that you get all the material, you get the lessons, you get the workbook, you get all that, you know where to go. We're at 11 o'clock on Tuesday and Wednesday. I'm actually going to start at 10:30 on Thursday with an opener case study. We got some role playing on Thursday. It's going to be a ton of fun. It really is. And then on the 8th, 10th, and 17th, I'm with my boot campers. Those are members of my job search coaching program. On the 23rd, 24th, and 25th, that's set up for my leadership crew. But the 23rd is open to the public and it's on YouTube. And if you bother to go over to YouTube and check the description, download the one-page daily planning tool. It's pretty cool. I jammed a lot of stuff. It's an awesome giveaway that you can use to run your day. All right, let me see. Back to the questions. Karim, is it Karim? As resumes are read by the ATS, is it recommended to have a short hiring manager version and a longer ATS version? I would not. I would have one version. If you are in the job search coaching program, we take you through not only how to write the resume, and I would write one resume, but I also give you a whole separate lesson on all the checks and balances that you should go through in order to make sure that it's ATS friendly. And it's more about the content that's in there rather than the length. Tracy, if you're leaving your current job due to leadership or family conflict, how do you answer the why are you leaving your current job question in an interview, especially if you're the CEO? Okay, so if I understand, well, and it's a little difficult to read between the lines, and I know you only have 200 characters here. You're the CEO, and I'm not sure what you mean by leadership family conflict. The CEO, I don't know how big your company is or if you're reporting to the board of directors, and I don't know if your board of directors are family members, but I don't even want to speculate because how I would answer that is going to be dependent on the exact situation. Meaning, if the board of directors is my family members and I'm the CEO, I'm not airing family laundry. All I'm saying is I've run it's run its course. It's time for somebody else in my family to take over. And so I'm looking, for my next senior level position where I can make an impact. I would do something like that. I'm assuming this is what you mean. It's hard to know the exact scenario, but that's what I would do. I would make it just sound positive. I wouldn't ever bring any negativity to it. I accomplished what they needed me to. I'm looking for something new, fresh, whatever, something like that. Vivian, Andy, when I am boss hunting, I usually write to the potential hiring manager, maybe an executive and recruiter to cover all bases. Is that too many redundant? It makes you look desperate, to be honest with you. Because if you're boss hunting, the boss hunting nomenclature means I'm sending you a one of a kind in the hope you get back to me. And if the boss then turns to the recruiter and the recruiter says, yeah, I got a message from her too, it doesn't look great. So I'm about one at a time. So I give the boss an opportunity to get back to me. Maybe if you are really, really that interested, you follow up with the boss a week or two later. If the boss doesn't get back to you a week later, you reach into the recruiter. That's it. Tracy A. Recruiters have been reaching out to me on LinkedIn for non-PM roles, BD, integration manager, liaison. How to assess if the universe is telling me to hunt boss for non-PM roles. Okay. How do I want to say this to you? All right. First thing is, okay, you hear me say this a lot, Tracy, because I know you're at the shows. I know you come to the public sessions and I know you come to the private sessions. So you've heard me say this enough. Problems don't bother me. Randomness bothers me. And what you are getting is a systematic reach out from recruiters who do not fully understand what you do. Okay, now I'm not saying that I fully understand what you do, but I had a chance to glance through your resume at one of the hot seat sessions that we had. And so if you are driving projects, and I believe you're in the clinical area or healthcare space, maybe clinical trials or something like that, right? Something like that. I'm focusing on what do I want to happen? How do I make that happen? And what's happening is, and I know through our communications in the system that, you're maybe you don't have the greatest level of confidence because you're not getting responses or results, or you're getting responses, but you're not actually getting interviews, I think is the issue, if I remember correctly. So I am not letting that noise or interference from recruiters who don't know me, who are doing nothing but searching on keywords. And then what they do is they blindly spray a message that looks tailored to you, but isn't. And then they send you stuff. And then you look at it and you say, well, geez, that's not me. I don't sell, or I don't, whatever. I'm not a integration manager or whatever it is. That's just noise. And I would not be changing the course of what I'm doing. I would be, and you also hear me say this a lot. I once built a program and not a lot of people bought it. And I didn't change the product. The product was built. I had to change the marketing of the product. So I spend 10% of my life building you products, and I spent 90% of my time, 90, maybe 95, spending time with you like this, catering to 97% of you who will never buy anything from me, so that the 3% of you that do buy from me get 90% of my community time, my selling time. The products are awesome, but I only needed to build them once, and now I service them, right? Or the whole universe, right? I'm working over here, and you are a perfectly built product right now. You are an awesome PM. You got great skills because, again, I've seen your resume. It's the marketing of you, your storytelling, or something along those lines that is broken. It's not the universe telling you not to be a PM in the healthcare/clinical space. I assure you. So that's what I'm telling you. So don't assess it. I'm telling you, don't do that. Don't get off your path. You don't need to. So other people, I'm not going to say, I'm talking to you, Tracy, just you. I don't know. There's 162, but I'm talking to one person right now. Don't get off the track. Oh, Mark M, we got the hat trick from you. One of the most overlooked nuggets from Annie was to look at the LinkedIn photos at the company. If the management is all younger than you are, move on. I did say that. I looked for management that aligned with my age, 57. You're a youngin', man. I love it. There you go. So that's tech, and that's ageism issue, tech issue. Dude, you better send me a damn email. Joyce, I was asked to share my projects list by a hiring manager, which I have from the career achievements focused on my activities and technical skills. Would you recommend to add the grade 8 in? Well, the grade 8 is embodied in the projects. That's the benefits and the other things that are in there with the project goals that should be in the career achievements journal. So yes. How are we doing on time? Let's keep going. Let's keep going. What's in the T? V4MRH. I don't know what that is. Anticipating receiving multiple offers. I know what that is, and I'm happy for you. Can you rehash timing etiquette of when you let your future managers, interviewers know you are entertaining or considering an offer from another employer? Okay. If you're actually asking me this, it's too late. Okay, so let's have a little chuckle. I want you immediately, when you start interviewing with a company, to let them know if you're interviewing with any other companies. Company number 1, I'm only interviewing with you, but I will let you know if that changes. Company number 2, I'm interviewing with company number 1. Company number 1, I'm interviewing with company number 2. Company number 3 comes along, I'm interviewing with company number 1, number 2. Like, you're doing this the whole time. You're not being obnoxious. In the natural course of the evolutionary process of the recruitment cycle itself, as you are taking touch points, you are letting them know. At the early stages, you just wait till the next interview. The late stages, you communicate in between interviews. What do I mean by that? Let's say you've been interviewing 6 weeks and you're getting down to the end with, say, 2 of them, and maybe one's only 4 weeks, they're moving you along. You need to say, okay, I love you, company A. Company B, I remember I mentioned company B and C. Company B is about to give me an offer. I just want to let you know, can you give me some insight into what the remaining steps of your process are? I'd at least love to be able to get that feedback and message them back, because I want to make sure I can give them a reasonable time frame in which I will respond to the offer. Is there anything that you could let me know, or anything that you could do to, I mean, you're my favorite, so is there anything you could do to move it? You're doing this. At the end, you're doing it more frequently. Company B. Remember I mentioned I was interviewing with company A and C. Well, I'd really like to finish out with company A. I'm going to try to figure out exactly how much time I need. I will give you a definitive date by, or whatever. Like you got to, because the more communicative you were along the way, they will appreciate that, because you're calling in what? A favor, right? You're calling in a favor to ask for more time. I'm more apt to give you a favor if you've been honest and open with me along the way. Do you know when I don't want to do you a favor? When you don't tell me anything. We've been together for 6 weeks, and I think I got 2 more weeks to get you scheduled with the final person, and I'm not worried because I love you and you've communicated that you love me, and you've not told me that anything else is going on in your life. So for all of you, so that's what you need to do. And for all of you that are in the job search coaching program, in the salary negotiation workshop, there is a session entirely dedicated to all the communication protocols and what to say and how to say it, depending on who the companies are and whether they're your lead horse or second or third, and what you need to be doing. I dedicated a whole session to that alone, which is why the reason I share that is, number 1, it's nice material, but number 2, that's how important I think that is, that I would dedicate a whole section to that. Let's see. Darcy, what's up? Former colleague is referring me to an open role in his current company. Nice. Andy AI said to also reach out to the hiring manager person on LinkedIn. Do I do both concurrently? No. We're going to have a talk with Andy AI, and as brilliant as Andy AI is, I would not recommend doing that. If your friend is going to refer you, just let the process play. Let the process play. I'm wondering how you asked Andy AI that, but that's what real Andy tells you. Let me see. Can I get another? Well, I got 1 minute left. Fan of Andy. What is the best way to gain the skills needed, if not in the right environment, workplace, working with the right team? was a fan of Andy. This book, I'm not being funny. And for any of you that do not have a copy of this book and do not know what this book is, the subtitle is A Step-by-Step Guide to Mastering Career Skills That Make You a Standout Professional. It organizes the methodology for you, the sequence that I would, as a white-collar professional, would learn the skills I needed, and it has 15 very powerful lessons in there with the instruction itself and practical, actionable advice and challenges to implement and build the skills, to practice and learn the skills and operate the skills. And then at the back of the book, there is a step-by-step approach to building out and operating your career development plan, where you're cycling those career skills in and you're getting the right training to do that. Now, I would start with a base like that, meaning I would get a methodology for how you're going to go about learning. Does that make sense? So you're saying, what's the best way to gain them? Well, the first thing I would tell you is a lot of people are very inefficient in the way that they build skills, because they think, oh, I just need to build my sales skills, so I need to practice and practice and practice getting the rebuttals down or getting the pitch down or the whatever. No, there's foundational layers to building your sales skills. You have to understand human behavior and psychology, organization, customer service, all these other foundational communication skills that go along with that. How to write, how to present, human pain points, things of that nature. And you have to know your product and so on. Well, how are you going to work on all of those at the same time? You're not. One or two of those is going to give you the maximum ROI for the effort. So what you're going to need to do is figure out what those are. So not knowing exactly what skills you want to build, you have to identify what the right capabilities are. And those capabilities are in the form of a career skill. A lot of you call them soft skills. I don't think anything is soft about these. I think these are harder than hard skills to build. So I would start there, and then I would look at, well, who are experts in these particular skills? If you read the book, I'm an expert in the skills I teach. I'm an expert in all the skills I teach you in the leadership coaching program, of which there's 50 different skills that I teach you, right? And then there are other people that are gurus, authors, bloggers, speakers, trainers, YouTubers, or whatever, people that have speaking events or conferences or whatever, that are authorities on particular subject matter. So what you might notice about me that's different than a lot of other trainers is many other trainers want to teach you about one very specific thing, like sales or communication or something like that. I want to teach you on all of those things. So I want to be a one-stop shop for that. But in order for me to be able to convince you that I'm an authority on that, I want to show you the methodology that I've built and how I arrived at that. And based on the knowledge I've gained through my 36 years, to actually organize something that's very much a maze or very, very esoteric for a lot of people that can't get their arms around how to go about this in an organized fashion. So, but I'm looking at what are the specific skills. Now, if you have the zebra code and you work the skill building and career development planning portion of it, it's going to help you surface those skills, because it'll take you through an assessment and other things to help you identify those. And then once you identify those, there's 8 different things that you're going to look for in order to determine who you're going to go and follow, or who you're going to get coaching from, or how you're going to learn it. But the base lessons are in the book to get you started. So that's what I would say there. And I think on that note, I'm gonna need to run out, because I do have stuff to do this afternoon. Remember, if you haven't signed up for the interview intervention mini camp, please do. We kick off on Tuesday. Grab the interview intervention. This little $7 book package is amazing. It's the best $7 you'll spend. It gives you all the modalities and some extras. There's even a booklet in there on how to interview the employer, 75 great questions to ask before you take any job. So that's in there as well. I'll be in your inbox here, I think probably like Sunday and Monday. There's some stuff that Monday I'm releasing a new video on my YouTube channel next week, because Tuesday will be live on the channel. So my digest is coming a day early. And then Tuesday we're at 11 o'clock with really positioning yourself for overall success. And then on Wednesday, we're coming back, the 2nd of April. We're coming back with preparing for the interview, prep that wins. And then on Thursday, we're going to do storytelling. I'm going to take you through my storytelling formula, the card technique, how to choose your stories. And then one of my boot campers, we're going to be role playing for you how we built her story, Lisa. It's really a great one. And there's a case study early that day as well. There's case studies on Monday and Tuesday with people that did the job search backwards. They're sharing their lessons. They were both highly successful. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right. I really hope, I want to revisit my little pep talk in the beginning of this. I'm not saying that I don't get that things are hard. They're always hard, even if the market's going like this. But I have a lot of faith that you'll be able to find a good job and that the sky is not falling. Hey, I'm going to be piling money into the stock market here in the next day or so because why? Because it's almost April 15th. And the 4 weeks prior and especially the 2 weeks prior of April 15th, the stock market generally goes up. Because why? Because the Fed liquidates. There's returns. People are stuffing money into their IRAs so they could save on taxes because people procrastinate. So they're putting their 2024 IRA money in before they have to pay their taxes on April 15th. This year, compared to others, where about 1.7% of the returns are late in being filed. The reason for that is because people are doing a lot more freelance and people are just generally procrastinating. So things are looking up. Take advantage. We got the interview intervention mini camp next week. I'm thinking there's going to be a pop in the stock market too. I don't know if that comment's going to age well, but I don't really care because I'm going for it. I hope you go for it too, whatever that is for you. All right. I'll see you. Everybody have a great weekend. See you next Tuesday.